in a war against 4 overpowered races: angels, demons, undeads, and humanoid beasts, spirits, and magical beasts, which include dragons. Humanity could only prevail thanks to its champion, Cid, who defeated the other races' champions and sealed away their armies in 4 pyramids. In an age where Cid's existence has become but a legend of the past, Soldier Kai and his comrades Ashran and Saki are tasked with monitoring the pyramids in fear that these old foes would escape. Kai goes on a date with fellow soldier Jean. As they talk, reality suddenly distorts, and a mysterious voice announces that the world reincarnation has been activated. Just then, Kai finds himself in a ruined city where he comes across an actual demon. This demon unleashes some insane magic attack on Kai, and he barely survives by using his sword case as a shield. Kai rushes to his sword and swiftly loads it up with bullets. Just in time, he shoots bullets and cancels out that demon's magic. The demon can actually talk, and it's shocked by Kai's cancellation skills. This infuriates the demon, and he activates another spell to burn him. But Kai rushed towards the demon and avoided the attack. He shoots his bullet at point blank and kills the demon. Kai explains that the bullet he just used is a modified Drake bullet that mimics the breath of mythical beasts. Just then, another demon appears on the spot, and shocked to see a measly human can defeat a demon. Kai's impressed by how well the demon is fluent in human language, but the demon explains that the most effective way to control a slave is by using his own language. The demon attempts to launch an attack on Kai, but some other humans appear on the spot with a flashbang. The human grabs him into their car, and Kai immediately recognizes her as his comrade Saki. However, Saki fails to recognize him, and she swears she's never seen him before, and neither has Ashran, who doesn't also recognize him. Kai reminds them they're from the same agency, but they inform him that they are soldiers of the resistance. Now Kai is the one feeling lost and confused, so he asks them what happened to this world. Saki tells him, humans lost the Great Holy War that took place 30 years ago and are now living hiding from demons. They take Kai to an underground city named Vishal, where the remaining humans are living. Kai wonders why humans lost the war. In response to this, they inform him that the other races had their heroes that overpowered them immediately. This shocks Kai because in this world, the hero of humanity, Prophet Cid, doesn't exist in this world. As they are conversing, the main forces return to the city. The commander has also returned, and it turns out that the commander is none other than Jean. Ashran and Saki introduce Kai to the commander, explaining his memory is a bit foggy. This shocks Kai, and Jean starts to leave, but Kai can't handle it all and stops her. He attempts to remind her of him, but Jean doesn't know who he is and leaves. After all this, Ashran lets him use his room because he believes that Kai is way too tired to think straight. That night, as Kai is studying some documents, he realizes that everything is the same, except that there is no record of Prophet Cid. The following morning, Kai asks Ashran to borrow his car, and he immediately gives him the key. Ashran was shocked that his body moved like he was doing like this before. Upon reaching the pyramids, he notices that the gate is open and enters without thinking anything. He keeps walking and eventually comes across Cid's sword. This proves to him that the legends about Cid have to be true. Just as he grabs the sword, a voice warns him not to relinquish this sword, which is named the Code Holder. Suddenly, he gets teleported into another dimension, where he comes across a woman on a chain who is calling for help. Seeing her, Kai immediately realizes that she is not a human. The girl introduces herself as Rin before passing out. He decides to help her nevertheless and uses his sword to break the chains, but fails. Next, he uses the bullets, but even that isn't enough to break the chains. He tries to remember what the sword is called and shouts out, "Code Holder," and breaks the chains effortlessly. However, Rin wakes up and attacks him, accusing him of being a demon sent by Vanessa. Kai, however, uses the codebreaker to slice the magic, making it disappear. Kai tells her straight up that he isn't a demon because he has no wings or tail, so clearly he is just a human. She apologizes for the misunderstanding. Kai concludes that she is not a demon and questions her race. Rin refuses to reveal her race and expresses thanks for being saved. Kai then introduces himself and asks her where they are. Just then, a seemingly mechanical woman appears behind Rin. The mechanical woman starts talking about some fate singularity entity waking up and how it's a major threat to the new world, so it's going to start doing its thing to get rid of it. Rin gets captured by the eye with tentacles, but Kai uses Codeholder to cut through dimensions, and Kai swoops in and saves her at the last second. They immediately enter the dimensions and return to the monolith. Rin apologizes and explains Vanessa is the hero of the demons whom she feuded with, as she is an outcast from all races. Kai also tells her that no one remembers him in this world, and that he comes from a world where humans won the war. But in this world, the demons are ruling over the humans. This shocks Rin as she tells him that the humans were winning the war when she got into a fight with Vanessa. Kai takes Rin back to the shelter after she conceals her wings, but she causes problems since she is unfamiliar with modern technology and keeps picking fights. That night, demons broke into the shelter. The defense units start blasting bullets at the demons, but they know the little bullets are useless. Saki runs off to get the machine gun, but just as she does, a demon appears behind her, prepared to unleash a spell. But at the last second, Kai jumps in and saves her, knocking the demon to the ground. Just then, Kai notices a demon transforming Ashran into a stone and shoots an anti-magic bullet to shatter the spell and save his life. The demon then sets its sights on Kai, trying to pin him down, while another demon sneaks up from behind to attack. But Kai fast enough past that demon and shoves the first demon away, while Rin takes care of the second one with a blast. After they have defeated all the demons, Kai reveals that he does not belong to this world and is from another timeline where the humans had won the war. Kai and Rin are brought to a council who do not believe their tale of an alternate timeline. But Jean trusts Kai after he reveals knowledge of her nicknames for her father and grandfather and the fact she is a girl pretending to be a man. Later that night, Jean summons Kai and Rin to her room. They make a plan where Jean's troops will distract the demons while Kai and Rin assassinate Vanessa. Ashran and Saki are assigned to help Kai and Rin. They then arrive at their destination, and Jean gives a speech to boost the morale of the soldiers. They enter the capital through an underground passage, and Kai is stunned to see the government palace in ruins. The demons patrolling the palace notice them and attack with ice magic. Kai dispels the spell with his bullet and defeats the monster with his sword. More demons appear, and Rin uses her magic to eliminate them all at once, but Kai claims one of his bullets did it. He then asks Rin if she can detect Vanessa, and she discovers she is on the top floor. Jean understands and commands the team of troops to stay put and not allow any demons into the government palace. She directs another squad to rescue the held prisoners from underground, while her party uses the emergency stairs on the south side. On the way, Phelan questions Kai about the lightning attack from earlier, understanding he wasn't responsible because she never saw him fire the trigger, and realizes Rin was the responsible. Suddenly, they come across a mini-demon who summons a demon, which ambushes them and captures a human. Seeing this, Phelan frees him, telling the others to go on ahead while she deals with the small fry. Jean and the others head into a room. Suddenly, Jean gets hit by a powerful lightning attack, but she's totally fine. Rin notices she's wearing an elven garment, which Jean explains is a magical item called the Sacred Light Garment, which they obtained from an elven village. She instructs Kai and his team to proceed ahead while they will stop the demons. Kai hands over some armbands to Saki and Ashran that will keep them hidden from demons and explains that he brought them from his world. In reality, Rin had used barrier magic that hides their presence. The four of them eventually reach a control room where Saki and Ashran are stationed in case something happens. Kai and Rin leave them behind and approach Vanessa. On their way, they come across a demon who reveals that they have been using the human surveillance system and have been using humans to operate them. The demon tells them that they have no reason to let them go and start an attack. But Rin quickly flies him out of the way and throws him out of the room. She uses a barrier to keep him outside and tells Kai to go ahead while she handles them. Meanwhile, Jean fights the demon effectively, with the others backing her up with gunfire. Jean's sword then transforms into a bow, and she uses it to take down the demon. Before dying, the demon notices that Jean is using elven magic items and warns her that these items will drain her life force. Jean finishes him off and says she chose death willingly. Suddenly, a three-headed dog burst into the wall and attacked her, but Fallen arrived to save her. The three-headed dog recognizes Phelan and wonders if she's the Dragonar who fights with the Drake Fang, but Phelan denies it. Meanwhile, Kai reaches Vanessa's throne room, where she welcomes him. She tells Kai that she is a succubus and that they both can have some fun together. However, Vanessa was surprised, saying that her charms didn't work on him. Kai tells Vanessa that in his world she was defeated by a human named Prophet Sin. The name triggers some memories for Vanessa, but she quickly pushes them aside and tries to use her magic on Kai. However, Kai uses a magic dissipating bullet to stop her attack. She puts Kai on the ropes with several destructive spells, hoping to kill him. The spell shakes the entire building, but Kai uses Code Holder to protect himself, leaving Vanessa amazed that he's still standing. Vanessa asks about the sword Kai is holding, but he doesn't answer. Suddenly, a wounded Rin joins them, but Vanessa does not recognize her. Suddenly, the mechanical woman appears through a portal and binds Vanessa, whom she calls Last Rasterizer. The mechanical woman says anyone who learns of Sid must be eliminated. Vanessa retaliates with a powerful fire spell, severely injuring the monster, but it's still alive and leaves the place. A terrified Rin says Vanessa is even more powerful than the one she knows. Vanessa then tries to heal her injury by focusing her power, but it doesn't work, so she decides to prioritize dealing with Kai and Rin instead. Rin tries to contain Vanessa with a force field and tells Kai to run, but Vanessa breaks it and blasts Kai, seemingly killing him. Enraged, Rin displays the powers of all the races, allowing her to hurt Vanessa, but she mocks Rin for not showing this power earlier out of fear of being called a monster. In a desperate move, Rin tries to kill her with a suicidal spell, but runs out of mana due to Vanessa draining it. Rin feels an overwhelming sadness, realizing she isn't able to avenge Kai. Vanessa is getting fed up with Rin's weak act, so she gets ready to finish her off with one last blast. However, she is shocked to see Kai still alive and save Rin from the blast. He assures Rin that there is no need to apologize, and that he was actually very helpful because her fight with Vanessa allowed him to wake up. Vanessa questions how he survived, stating that no person should be standing after that. Kai recalls using the Code Holder to shield himself from the blast, the second time it has saved his life in this battle. Vanessa's pissed that Kai would dare challenge her, so she reminds him he's just some trash who survived by luck. Kai tells her he's not aiming to be humanity's hero, so he's going to show her exactly how powerful a human can be. Vanessa then casts a powerful spell to summon a mini meteor to smash Kai, but Kai slices it into pieces with the Code Holder. Kai calls Ashran, and Saki turns off the lights, putting the roof into darkness. Vanessa struggles to trace Kai since humans lack magical energy signatures. This is when Kai appears behind her to fatally wound her. As she slowly dies, Vanessa suddenly remembers Sid and says he trusted her to hide Code Holder in the monolith in order to counter the world being rewritten. Apparently, someone messed with the timeline and changed history, so Kai's got to find this person, who's probably one of the other three heroes. Before she disintegrates, she acknowledges Kai as a worthy opponent and promises to come back and seduce him. With the other demons defeated, humans retake the capital city. Jean plans to join the resistance groups fighting the other races. Kai and Rin agree to join her. Afterward, Rin finds herself dreaming about the time she was desperately fleeing from that monster we saw earlier with Sid by her side. He apparently says something to her, but that's when she wakes up in one of the vehicles. The army moves from the Urza Federation to the Eo Federation, which is occupied by the Celestials. He flashbacked to when the battle ended, and as they were cleaning up, Rin caught the scent of demons in the air. They followed the trail and found Vanessa's sister Heinril greets Kai and Rin, thanking them for killing Vanessa and letting her take her place. She calls a truce between humans and demons and encourages them to fight the other races, warning them about the hero of the Celestials, the angel Alfreya. Back in the present, Rin spots something and urgently asks Ashran to open the top hatch. She peers out and spots a dragon soaring above. Ashran finds this strange, considering they're supposed to be in demon territory, but Kai quickly alerts everyone. Then the soldiers take aim and fire on Jean's command. The bullets barely scratch the dragon's scales, and the creature destroys 2 of their vehicles. Then Rin unleashes her lightning magic on the dragon, while Kai plays it off as one of his shots, and together they manage to drive the dragon away. As they camp, Kai is uncomfortable when Rin and Jean share his bed. The next day, they continue their journey. Jean then gives the order to stop the vehicles, and they continue the journey on foot. When they finally arrive at the rebel army headquarters, they are met with cheering from the nearby humans. The rebel army members salute them as they enter. The rebel army, led by Zephan the advisor, happily welcomes them and expresses how the news of Jean's victory has given them fresh hope. It then greets Phelan, revealing they have a history together. He's surprised to see her again, remarking on how long they've survived in this desolate world. Without wasting any time, Jean requests to speak with their commander, and Zephan promptly escorts her to him. Soon, they meet the assistant commander, Quabayri, who informs them that anything that needs to be discussed with their leader will be done through her. Once they finally get to the main office, Jean introduces herself to the leader, Dante, who's not very happy with their arrival. Dante asks her why they came to this country. Jean doesn't understand what he means, so Dante mentions that it seems they've driven off the demons and retaken the royal capital. So, in his eyes, now they intend on taking further glory and stealing his EO rebel army. Jean gets right to the point, informing him that chasing after glory is meaningless just now. If he wants honors, he must start acting like he deserves them, because in the end, the soldiers pick who is given praise. She adds that if he takes charge and leads like a great commander, the people would respect and praise him. A while after that, Jean attends a meeting with the rebel army, where Zephan shows her a map and informs her about some details. He mentions that the Elven Forest, the Dwarven Village, the Fairies' Hideout, and the Angel's Court are all considered uncharted territories. Jean says that she'll lead the search, so she asks Dante if she can borrow the EO rebel army's elite soldiers. Dante just sees this as something reckless. For the general to go to the front line personally, Jean then clarifies that she's only lending her life to those who are continuing to fight in this land. Her words manage to inspire the soldiers, who are clearly impressed by her courage. Meanwhile, Quabayri encourages him to lead an offensive from the front without informing Jean's forces. He then informs Zephan that he plans to personally lead the soldiers into the Elven Forest, intending to capture elves and angels as prisoners of war. As Jean and her team return from yet another meeting, Rin pulls them aside, expressing her suspicion that Quabayri might not be human, and elsewhere, we're shown the aftermath of a crushed rebel army. Meanwhile, Alfreya has allied with Last Riser and shocks his allies by proclaiming all other races except angels are unneeded and will be eliminated. Alfreya then launches an attack on the elves. The Great Elder fights back, but the impact creates a huge explosion that gets her trapped in pure crystal. On the other hand, the village shrine maiden, Rairn, falls from where they are and lands in the forest. Once she wakes up, everyone asks for the Great Elder's whereabouts, pretty alarmed by the situation. Meanwhile, Dante and his forces are missing, so Kai's group searches for them. As they advance through the forest, they find a weapon graveyard that definitely belongs to the EO rebel army. Phelan realizes they must have fallen victim to a trap magic circle hidden in the trees. Jean thinks the trap was fairly easy to avoid, but Kai points out that the real danger lies above them. Rin then tells him that she's smelling something, and it's probably an elf. Everyone follows the path she shows them, and as they advance further, all 6 of them step on a magical circle that teleports them somewhere else. Everyone is confused after that. Phelan says that it appears to be the Elven Forest. Just then, a fairy appears from the bushes and chases a butterfly without looking at them. But then the fairy accidentally bumps into Ashlyn, and after falling to the ground, she believes he's an elf. When Ashlyn reveals that they are humans, the fairy's expression changes to fear, and she runs to the elven village. When they follow her, they're stopped by the guards, who threaten them with their weapons. Before they can do anything, Quabayri orders them to lower their weapons. Jean clarifies that their demand is that she free the prisoners, and Quabayri accepts under one condition: they have to fight the angels. After all, defeating the hero of the demons should be easy. Kai wants to know what this is all about, since he thought the Celestials were a close-knit race, and it doesn't make sense that the elves betray the angels. Kubere clarifies that the angels betrayed them first. They follow her and meet Rarin, who tells them of how Alfreya betrayed them and proposes a contract with them, saying that they'll return the hostages. But in return, they'd like them to rescue their great elder from Lord Alfreya. Phelan then asks for proof that this is not a trap, since if they go through with this and get ambushed by both the elves and angels, Quabiari suddenly says that she'll give them her life, and she'll accompany them to the angel palace. Phelan cuts her off, stating that's unacceptable, and that they shouldn't think her single life is worth 6 of their own, plus 20 hostages. She insists that they raise the number of lives at stake or choose a more important life to risk. Rarin then says that her own life should be enough in that case, and accepts to accompany them. Jean accepts, and Rarin commands all fairies and dwarves to return to their posts as the hidden creatures leave. Later in the night, Rarin then approaches him. She tells him that she has no intention of attacking them in their sleep until the contract they've made is over. Kai then asks Rarin if she knows Sid, but she does not. The next day, Rarin teleports herself and the group to the Angels' Palace, where they find several angels burning alive. Not wanting to waste any time, Rarin continues, and the place is so confusing that Phelan is grateful to have the elf's guidance. As they teleported again, they barely managed to dodge a sudden magical attack, which came from the war angel, Vicious. She reveals that the High Elf Elder will be executed soon. Then, as she moves to strike, Kai swiftly counters, and Phelan, Ashran, and Saki engage her in battle. Phelan urges Jean and the others to keep moving while they hold off Vicious. They rush ahead. On the next floor, they encounter an angel knight named Raphaelo. Rin steps forward to face him, telling the group to continue without her. Once Rarin modifies all barriers, the 3 of them are teleported to the area where the Great Elder is trapped, but Alfreya appears and rants that all other races are inferior to angels. Returning to Phelan's battle with Vicious, the War Angel is evidently taken aback by the sight of Phelan's weapons. She recognizes her sword as a mythical beast's, saying it's a drake's fang, and she's heard their power erupt through impact. The 2 of them start to rush toward each other. Phelan instructs Saki and Ashran to target Vicious's wings, but Vicious skillfully dodges their bullets. Phelan seizes the moment and manages to strike Vicious's wings, knowing they are the source of her magic. Vicious is taken aback, wondering how Phelan figured it out. Phelan calmly reveals that she got the tip from a man who claims to be from another world, and Vicious then concedes defeat. Meanwhile, Rin locked in battle with Raphaelo. She launches an attack, but he dodges effortlessly, so he wonders if this is all she's got. But Rin knows he's holding back. He then tries to strike her with his hammer, but this only fuels her with anger. So she channels all her power into one devastating blow to his face, shattering his helmet. Raphaelo surrenders and tells her to stop Alfreya, as he has gone mad. Returning to Kai, he meets Alfreya, who announces that he will carry out the execution of the Great Elder of the Elves. Rarin believes he has no authority to rule the Celestials and promises to guide him to his death. When she approaches him, he uses his Magnificat powers to raise a massive sword and throw it at her. She is unable to react, but in a split second, Kai calls his code holder to stand in the way and destroy the spell with a single slash. Seeing this, Alfreya wonders if he is truly human. Kai informs Alfreya that he is entirely human, so he questions why a human would help an elf. In response, Kai says, "There's nothing to understand." Kai proudly declares that this blade is powerful enough to defeat Vanessa, the demon hero, and may even grant Alfreya a spot next to her in hell. Alfreya is amused by this and can't believe the supposedly dumb demon hero lost to a human. But Kai responds, questioning whether Alfreya is really in a position to call someone a fool because, unlike him, Vanessa was not trying to kill her own people. Alfreya says it is up to him to decide. After all, he is Heaven's Spire. He is the most honorable and brilliant star in the universe. Thus, he has no desire to subordinate anyone who would disrespect him. Jean refers to this as narrow-mindedness before suddenly shooting an arrow at him, but the arrow smashes it, causing many projectiles to fly towards him, one of which even cuts his face. Alfreya then uses Magnificat again, this time with a bell that summons heavenly thunder and a massive ball of lightning that strikes Jean straight. However, when he sees she is unharmed, Alfreya realizes it is due to an elf's sacred light clothing, which endures any magic, so he forms a magical circle that is even larger than the last one. This time, Rarin uses the magic of the 7 princess guardians to protect everyone. Kai has a plan that it'd be better if they could make it 4 against 1. Rarin immediately understands he means they need to get the Great Elder first. She guides him towards the Great Elder, but Alfreya quickly tries to stop them using his Spear of Divine Punishment. However, Kai reacts quickly and blocks the attack, saying that angels take humans too lightly. Rarin tries to free the Elder from the crystal, but her sacred dagger shatters against it, something she wasn't expecting at all. Alfreya calls on Last Riser, who makes an explosion that sends Jean flying. Rin catches her and is relieved when Jean doesn't mind seeing her wings. Kai asks Alfreya if he was the one who reset the world and if he knows Sid. He doesn't know what he is talking about, but he starts to remember Sid. But before he can fully recall it, the Last Riser detects the disturbance and attacks him. She realizes that the mention of Sid has influenced Alfreya, and she attempts to erase his code from this world. She initiates the hero override, causing Alfreya to vanish into nothingness. Kai and the others are left in shock, utterly confused by what just happened. However, just then, a new Alfreya shows up, displaying wings of a completely different color and having the same eye as Last Riser. He introduces himself as Alfreya, his avatar, and initiates memories as the hero of the Celestials. Just after this, he creates a strong windstorm. But Rinna is still thinking about the words avatar and overwrite. This caught Kai's attention, and it made him remember these last moments with his Jean before being teleported. At that instant, he could hear a voice saying that the world reincarnation had been activated and the overwriting of the world was being executed. He unleashes a devastating fire spell at Kai and the others, and Rinna blocks the attack, but her barrier cracks and breaks in seconds, creating an explosion that makes them suffer the impact from the attack. Kai managed to cover them for the most part, luckily. Alfreya is enraged and retaliates with a beam, but Reiron defends herself with her magic items. The beam manages to break some of her barriers. Alfreya uses his sword to smash through the remaining barriers and slash Reiron. She's stunned that her defenses crumbled so easily, and Kai steps in before Alfreya can finish her off. He tells Alfreya that Reiron once looked up to him, holding on to the hope that he would return to his senses. After slashing swords several times with this corrupt Alfreya, Kai finds that his blade regenerates in an instant whenever it breaks. After all, Rarin's barriers were fine before, but his sword regenerated instantly as it burst through each one. Alfreya reveals that indeed is the work of heaven, an absolute power that cannot be stopped by a single magical item. Just after that, he summons the divine gift of the king's sword, this being a giant version of his magical weapon. As Alfreya slams his giant sword into Kai, he uses Code Holder to deflect it, using the same method several times as he is more skilled with the sword. Then suddenly Alfreya decides he doesn't need his sword anymore, and he throws the sword to the ground, causing the floor to rumble. Kai continues his attacks without stopping, until he finally breaks through Alfreya's barrier and manages to cut him. But this only enrages Alfreya further, and he immediately grabs him by the neck. But just then Jean and Reiron combine their powers, crafting a giant magical arrow. Jean releases the massive attack, its sheer power evident as it tears through and rips off half of Alfreya's body, but the girls are now completely drained of energy. Knowing that this attack was insufficient, Kai instantly gets up and makes some sort of movement with his palms. He demands that he come to his senses as he delivers one final punch. The dying Alfreya snaps out of his madness and apologizes to everyone as the crystal holding the Elder breaks. He tells Kai that Sid told him something was supposed to exist, and that the world was reset due to hatred as he disintegrates and vanishes into nothingness. A while later, we see that everyone who matters is safe, but the angels feel pretty useless since they didn't actually do much. We see Rin running away from something along Sid, desperately running away from what seems to be Last Riser. Just then, Rinna abruptly wakes up from that dream, and Kai is observing her with concern. Rina admits she had a dream, a scary dream, so Kai just keeps hugging her to comfort her. Just then, Jean shows up out of nowhere, and they quickly pull away from each other. Rin and Kai tell Jean what little they know of her origins. She isn't human and doesn't even know what race she is. Jean accepts this and agrees to keep the secret. The next morning, the Celestials give the humans new weapons and agree to a year-long truce. They admit that Alfreya went mad after they saw him talking to the hero of the beasts, Wrath, and then met Last Riser. The Elder orders Reiron to go with Kai's group because she noticed Reiron has fallen in love with Kai, embarrassing her and making Rin jealous. Back at headquarters, Jean informs the low-ranking rebel soldiers of the truce, and Zephyr appears thrilled with the news. Now that humanity has defeated both demons and celestials, they will no longer be underestimated. This means that all of their previous techniques will no longer be effective. The spirits and legendary monsters will regard humanity as a genuine threat. Thus, the rebel armies must collaborate more efficiently than ever before. Meanwhile, Wrath meets the hero of the spirits, Kyoko, and they discuss Vanessa and Alfreya's deaths. Wrath then declares she will exterminate the spirits. Without wasting any more time, the two heroes start a direct battle between them. Having the advantage in agility, Wrath manages to catch up with her on several occasions, but Kyoko responds to her attacks by using the universal mirroring ability. This surrounds Wrath in a huge water bubble, which Kyoko controls to slam her against the ground, dragging her across the whole forest, leaving a crater behind, and it looks like Wrath is at a massive disadvantage. Kyoko quickly approaches her, but she's taken by surprise when Last Riser suddenly appears behind Wrath, grabbing her head. She notices that this mysterious being is starting to delete her existence, so she does not hesitate to scatter herself in all directions in order to escape. Meanwhile, as Jean's forces drive to the territory of the spirits, Rin gets increasingly jealous of Reiron because she sits next to Kai. They stop at a hot spring, and Rin and Reiron argue about what Kai would find attractive, but Jean stops them to discuss Code Holder, the World Reset, and Last Riser. She reveals that she talked with Kai about the Code Holder and the World Reincarnation concept, and while he doesn't have much information, he is positive that the Code Holder was not created by humans. Jean warns Kai that using it may be risky, but Kai responds that it is far more reckless for her to continue using elven weapons when they consume her life force. Jean admits it isn't ideal, but without it, she wouldn't be able to contribute in fights. Therefore, she has no plans to give up her weapon anytime soon. Jean also advises that they should consider the Last Riser. It gave Alfreya a fatal wound and even appeared when he fought Vanessa. Kai verifies it, but he claims that no record of the monster exists in his world. Based on his observations, he believes the Last Riser is monitoring the heroes, and what causes it to switch from monitoring to attacking mode is most likely Sid, the name of a human hero who does not exist in this world. Back in the present, Reiron agrees that Last Riser is a serious threat. But suddenly, they feel a violent tremor. Something is happening in the camp. They are attacked by the beast Behemoth, even though they are still in celestial territory. Kai shows up and, without hesitation, charges at it, firing a special bullet that actually injures it. Phelan soon joins him, and they move around the Behemoth, dealing damage. But it's enough to put it down, so Phelan uses a flashbang to blind the beast and orders everyone to get out. They inform Jean that it is a mythical beast. Kai swiftly informs her that an autocannon is not enough since a mythical beast of that scale requires something far more powerful. Phelan claims that they have nothing bigger. They didn't expect to face mythical beasts, but they can still buy some time to leave. Despite this, Jean asks Kai how they can kill that beast, stating that if they are going to face the spirits and mythological beasts, they cannot be set back by such a formidable opponent. Kai agrees with her reasoning and adds that the beast has a magical organ on its body that is a weak point, but the issue is determining how to strike it. Everyone gets into position, already with a plan. Everyone shoots the mythical beast just at its weak area, and just as it is about to launch at Phelan, she jumps directly at it, attacking from the front to distract it. Just then, Kai fires a bomb directly at the beast, and Reiron explains that it's mushroom fog spores, so it won't be able to see or smell for a while. Rin then uses the opportunity to strike the beast with a tremendous blast, weakening it, and Kai follows next with his weapon. After all that damage, the beast fully loses control, and one of its attacks directly at Rin. Kai rushes in to help her, pushing her away and inflicting damage on himself. The beast then falls on a magical circle, disappearing in a matter of seconds. Raren also says that the strategy seemed to have worked. They defeat it, but Kai is wounded, and Jean, Rin, and Raren tend to him. He wakes up when both he and Jean dream of a building and a female voice beckoning them. Raren leads them to the building, which she says was made by humans a long time ago with an unknown purpose, making Kai suspect it is like the monolith. When they reach it, the voice beckons them, claiming they are at the center of the world. Raren cannot hear the voice, so Kai, Jean, and Rin enter while she stands guard. They find a statue of a woman, and the voice says she is Arsla Salaka, the goddess who was Sid's patron and gave him Codeholder. Creating Codeholder drained her strength, so she could not counter the world being reset and Sid being erased. She has chosen Jean to take Sid's place as the hero of humanity. Though she praises Kai's actions, he was not supposed to exist in this world. Arsla does not know what Last Riser is, and is not sure if defeating her will change the world back. They then exit the building, and Reiron asks what took them so long. They apologize, and she wonders if something happened. But Jean dismisses it, saying they just found a strange stone statue. They go to the Yulin Federation, where they find another monolith and are attacked by slime monsters. They open fire on the slimy spirits, but their guns have little effect. Jean quickly orders everyone to retreat to the vehicles. Though Phelan continues fighting, Kai moves to support her, pointing out that the only way to destroy spirits is to burn their bodies. Despite knowing this, they are unable to act because they lack the necessary weapons. Just then, troops using incinerator guns approach and begin burning the spirits. It becomes clear that they are the Yulin Federation's resistance army. As the remaining spirits unite into a single enormous creature, the resistance leader quickly smashes it before approaching and asking if the Ursa rebel army men are safe. The leader named Bomung then asks Phelan if she is alright and comments that it's been a long time since they last met. He greets Jean as well, and she thanks him and his troops for their timely rescue. Later, they investigate a new lake, but as Rin says it is a spirit, the water turns into Kyoko. She says the humans are in her way. Kyoka then shoots a high-pressure shot of water at Kai, forcing him to leap out of the way. Then, without hesitation, Kyoka transforms the water into a giant wrecking ball that destroys one of the trucks. Kai, seeing no other option, slices Kyoka cleanly in half and instructs her to stay down. He orders Bomung's soldiers to use all of their weaponry. However, Kyoka hardly flinches, and rather than struggling, she absorbs the flames and quickly repairs her body. She takes a deep breath calmly and unleashes a massive wall of fire. Kai swiftly pulls out the code holder, stopping the attack and saving everyone. Kyoka recognizes the code holder and remembers Sid. She mentions that the retaliation of fate is about to begin, and world reincarnation is only the beginning. Just in that moment, a portal opens behind Kyoko, and Last Riser appears. Last Riser immediately grabs Kyoko's head, saying that the hero of the spirits is experiencing influence from the taboo word Sid. It starts executing Zero Code, but Kyoka effortlessly breaks free from its grip and strikes back. Realizing it can't pull off its usual sneak attack, Last Riser gives up and retreats. Once it's gone, Kyoka reforms her body and lands back on the ground. Kyoko calls for a ceasefire and explains Last Riser is an embodiment of hatred and not one of the 5 races, and Wrath has teamed up with her. Afterwards, they investigate the monolith, which has the same layout as the first one. Kai approaches the pedestal at the center of the room, and as soon as he begins inspecting it, the code holder starts to react. They hear Sid's voice apologize for failing to protect Rin, so he leaves a final request for whoever holds the code holder now to reach the place he could not. As the message ends, the code holder projects a bright light onto the wall, and in moments, a portal opens, pulling Kai and the rest of the group through. They are all transported to the place where Rin was chained and find Alfreya turned to stone. A portal appears above them, revealing Last Riser, detecting intruders, announces a defense protocol to secure Alfreya's sealed body. Last Riser then scans the group and quickly identifies 3 individuals who are positive for the taboo word Sid. To Last Riser, they are a priority for destruction, while the others are deemed irrelevant. A portal is created right above them, and the other 4 start being absorbed by it. All 4 of them are teleports outside the monolith. Jean immediately starts heading back, intent on re-entering the portal to help Kai. However, the portal has already closed, so there's no way for Jean to return to that dimension right now. Reiron suggests they need a solid plan before rushing in again. Kai, Rin, and Kyoko are left to fight Last Riser. Kyoko launches a powerful water blast at it, but Last Riser effortlessly erases the water using the Zero code. Seizing the distraction, Kai attempts an attack, but barely manages to scratch it. While Kai keeps Last Riser occupied, Kyoko moves over to Rin, questioning why she isn't joining the fight. Rin admits she wants to help, but is paralyzed by fear that Last Riser terrifies her to the point where she can't even move. Kyoko, realizing there's no time to convince her, decides to use Rin's magic instead. And once Kai creates a brief separation from Last Riser, Kyoko takes the chance, and she encases Last Riser in ice, then shatters it into pieces. However, to everyone's shock, Last Riser emerges from a portal, fully restored. Kai finds it bizarre that Last Riser could recover so easily from a seemingly fatal blow, especially when it had retreated so quickly during the earlier fight with Kyoko and Vanessa. This leads the group to suspect that Last Riser's ability to regenerate is tied to being within this dimension. With Kyoko now realizing they need to escape, they grab Alfreya, and Kai uses Code Holder to cut through dimensions and return them to the monolith. Last Riser follows them. Kai uses the Code Holder to weaken Last Riser, so Kyoko seizes the opportunity and blasts Last Riser with a powerful lightning spell, reducing it to nothing more than a pile of ashes. Meanwhile, outside the monolith, Reiron is working furiously. She's crafting upgraded weapons, knowing that the human bullets are useless against Last Riser. Suddenly, a loud boom echoes from the graveyard, leaving everyone wondering what's happening. Just when Kai and Kyoko think it's over, they witness something horrifying. She just reappears, this time in a body so powerful that Reiron is shocked when she senses it. Rin remembers Sid failing to stop Last Riser from capturing her. Kai assures her that he won't let that happen. After clashing his sword against the claws of this new Last Riser, Kyoko uses the opportunity to attack from above, but the monster's barrier blocks the blow. After Last Riser declares that the world's growing influence has been identified, Kyoko finds herself totally trapped in its charm. Nevertheless, Kyoko uses the global mirroring finish, and a huge explosion to shock the entire place before that creature can do anything. A few seconds later, Kyoko sends a mass of water to safely transport the hero of the Celestials statue outside, and Jean dashes towards it. Kai and Rin are remarkably safe since Rin built a barrier around them before the massive explosion. Kai wonders why Kyoko would do this, and Jean rejoins them seconds later. They are scared to see Last Riser standing up again, even though part of its head is gone. Its appearance alters as it regenerates, and it even develops wings and horns. What's more horrifying is that it announces the continuation of deletion and captures Rinna before they can react. Last Riser takes her outside, and in the air it states that significant damage from Taboo Word has been detected, and that interference with the new world has reached dangerous proportions. Rin loses control and unleashes a massive amount of lightning strike on Last Riser. Last Riser instantly attempts to attack Rin again, but Kai steps in to protect her. Kai attacks without hesitation, causing a cut across Last Riser's forehead. The monster builds a defensive barrier, but it is cornered when Balmung, Fallen, and Kai all assault it at once. It attempts to flee using its wings, but is abruptly ambushed by Jean and Balmung personnel. Jean released an arrow designed by Reiron, and her shot passes through Last Riser's barrier, entering right into his head. The arrow's mechanisms shift, resulting in a massive explosion that leaves nothing except a large crater on the ground and the remains of Last Riser. Balmung tells them not to let their guard down because they have no idea what may happen. After a few seconds of deadly silence, Last Riser begins singing a sad song in terms no one understands. Once the song comes to an end, a black portal opens in the sky, and Kai and Rinna are no longer visible to the others, and Last Riser commences the world reincarnation's second-level shift. After a huge energy wave, the authorization is granted. A greater code holder emerges from the portal, and this extraordinary weapon is wielded by none other than Sid, leaving Kai stunned. While all of this is going on, Hero Wrath observes from a distance, remarking that Sid's mistake has thrown their fate off track. Even if the world comes apart, she will ensure the mythological beasts are saved. After a few seconds of shock, what appears to be a copy of the hero begins recording as Prophet Sid. Kai dislikes this and fights harshly, knowing full well that Last Riser is simply imitating Sid's appearance. Rin also expresses her hatred for that object by fighting it with everything she has. Despite this attack, Last Riser successfully sends Rin into a portal after delivering the order to capture the final monster. Kai attacks again, wanting her back, but Last Riser easily blocks his attacks, and Kai's vision blurs after a while due to exhaustion. He then recalls the conversation he had with Jean, who asked why he was constantly training so hard and he was planning to be Sid. Kai informed her it wasn't true, knowing just who Sid is to him. With that in mind, charges his code holder with limitless force, releasing a huge surge of energy directly at Last Riser. Not only does this push Last Riser into the air, but it also tears the space apart. However, it also causes the code holder to return to his usual sword. Kai is already exhausted, yet despite his attempts, Sid, or Last Riser, rises again, seemingly unhurt. Rin, on the other hand, appears to be entirely locked up in another space. She hears deprecating voices calling her a mixed being and making her feel bad for not being part of any race, saying that there's no place for her. Rin tries to silence these thoughts, claiming that while she used to despise everyone, she now likes them a little bit because Kai will stay with her. With that in mind, Rin is capable of breaking her bindings and fleeing from that lonely spot. On the other side, Kai continues to combat Last Riser, which is still in Sid's form and preparing to kill him. However, Rin arrives just in time to save him, stating that she will fight with him. With her support, Kai shoots directly at Last Riser, managing to break the code holder it was holding. He then shoots directly at Last Riser, causing a powerful explosion. However, Last Riser resists the strike, causing Kai to lose his sword and attack him with its arm. Kai takes advantage of the blind spots, allowing him to approach it from behind, and delivers a hard punch to Last Riser. Rin then gives him back his code holder, allowing Kai to block Last Riser's next attack. As he struggles with its claws, Kai notices that his code holder is starting to change colors, releasing a different aura. At that moment, Last Riser tells him that fate will not change and world reincarnation will continue to cycle. Hearing this, Kai fights back, and his code holder suddenly changes its form, completely glowing in a golden color. With that, Kai immediately attacks Last Riser, splitting its claws in two, managing to hit it full on. After receiving that powerful amount of energy, Last Riser is torn to shreds, finally disintegrating to nothing but dust, and Kai passes out. When he wakes up, Rin confesses her feelings and tries to kiss him, but Jean and Raren interrupt, and the three girls jealously argue about who deserves him, while Kai is confused about what they are talking about. Kyoko survived but shrank to a few inches tall after using up so much mana. The humans and spirits formed a truce, and they leave the Alfreya statue in the monolith until something can be done. The Arsla Salaka statue slowly cracks as she says Last Riser lives and Kai and Rin's ordeal is not over. Kai and Rinna have some time alone. She asks him if he thinks that the statue of the celestial hero is the same as that of that god. Kai mentions that he's not sure either, but Sid entrusted him with this, to protect Rin and end the great war of the 5 races. Rin smiles, clearly happy to hear this, and Kai takes her hand as they run to finally go back with the other group as they prepare to go after Wrath. Thank you for watching till the end, and please don't forget to subscribe. See you next time and peace out.